When I first walked in, Adam, you shared this idea with me. You said, in this store, we are selling NFTs. I said, what have I walked into?
That's sort of what I said. I said that we are taking something back that's been taken away from us, and this is my manifesto is...
That's a charged word.
Yeah,
right now.
Also, we are a lit space for red people. We are a lit space for red people.
So
Scared rabbit, they've got you boxed in. Old habit, you draw the curtain. Lonely only if they ever leave.
Hello, my name is Michael Zarick. This is Third Space Indy. In this podcast, we talk to community builders, leaders, and organizers all over Indianapolis who are trying to make the city a better place. Today, we are talking to Siren and Adam, the owners of Indy Type Shop.
Hello.
Which opened very recently.
Hey, everybody.
You guys are really hitting the podcast voice. Indy Type Shop opened a couple months ago, and I don't really recall how I came across it, but since I did, I visited just after it opened, introduced myself, and then learned substantially more about Siren and Adam. And I just happened to have just started the podcast at that time.
we didn't see you at the Rare Book Fair. Was that something else?
The Rare Book Fair?
Oh, I guess not.
No.
We
I don't even know what that is. We'll have to talk about that.
We'll talk about a couple of the things that we do, but we were really happy to be featured with Indianapolis Monthly and with Mirror Indy. We had a lot of opportunities that way, and so I think that when when you and I were introduced to each other, Michael, I think that's how you came about to us. But we got to meet up in the store and spend some time and introduce that way.
And I've been through a couple times. Always ride the bus. It's on the red line. Important point.
Very important.
But anyways, hello, Siren and Adam. Tell me a little bit about how you're doing, and then just share some words about Indy Type Shop.
We're doing great. I just had surgery a few days ago, and so we
Tell them what you got surgery on, though.
I got surgery on my ear. This was a follow-up surgery. I found out I had a mass behind my left eardrum earlier this year, and they got it out of there very quickly, and then this was a follow-up surgery to make sure that I am cancer-free and that the mass is gone, and they put a prosthetic middle ear in. So I don't know how I was hearing without a middle ear bone, but I was. But somebody maybe can, comment and tell us how the inner anatomy of an eardrum works.
Every opening of my podcast, we end up talking about things that are not community focused, and I think but like, you just didn't have an ear bone, and you could hear out of that ear perfectly fine.
So I have what's called conductive hearing loss. So it feels like some cotton, like a wad of cotton, is in there, but I could still hear without a middle ear bone because the big old mean growth ate it. So basically just ate my middle ear.
How's your ear doing now?
It's doing good. The big thing is over the last several years, I've had a lot more chronic pain, and now my pain's gone. So when the doctor said that this next surgery, I might actually get to restore some of my hearing, I didn't even know that was a thing, a few years ago. Technology's pretty crazy. Mm-hmm. So I've just been excited about being pain-free, and so I'm skeptically optimistic about getting some of my hearing back.
I'm so glad. Let's go.
Yeah.
Siren, what's up with you?
Oh gosh, a lot. So between the Type Shop, I also have a job with the IU Indianapolis Arts and Humanities Institute. Mm-hmm. I'm a program manager for a Flanner grant program called Speculative Play and Just Futurities. So it's about how do we seriously play towards research outcomes that improve quality of life. So really, really cool. We invite scholars in for a month. This month we've got David Trujillo from LA and Kat Mahari. They're talking both with their projects on at Indiana Humanities on the 16th. They're talking with their projects on one of them. David Trujillo is Many May Not Return, which is a play set and wondering about the intergenerational conflicts and wars that the country's involved in and how it affects a family unit. And then Kat Mahari is dance and choreography, working on Sugar in the Raw down from Chicago. So it's been a lot of kind of coordinating between that job and the type shop. I know Adam's got his other job too, with Flanner House. So shout out to all of the community that's given us love to help make Indy Type Shop happen. It makes a
Definitely.
huge difference.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about Flanner House and your work. I don't really know.
Yeah, so Flanner House is one of the oldest Black resource centers in the Midwest in Indiana. We are celebrating our 127th birthday. It might be 128th.
I think it's the 128th.
I think it's 120. It's one of them.
That's
it's
a
long
long-standing
time.
institution right there.
So it was created in 1898. So someone will get down to the bottom of that. They can figure out that's 7 years or 128 years.
If it ends in 8 and we're on the 5 year, that's 7.
Yeah, 127th year. So I work with Flanner Farms. We have a reentry program called FEED. It's a hybrid reentry program and workforce development program. So it is open to teens and young adults ages 15 to 25 who have had some different hardships. So some of my kids are on an ankle monitor or might be sleeping in the park or, have not been in school for some reason. So it's the kids get paid to learn on an urban farm in the morning, and there is a track to learn other trade skills like construction, auto technology, retail, urban agriculture. We've got a coding program. And then they can also get their high school equivalency, and that's a partnership with Indy Reads. And then I am their in-house literacy expert. So we have a poetry slam program, poetry and open mic, writing program. We've got a gaming program, and I work with young people, and then I also help do some programming for Ujamaa Community Bookstore. And on top of that, I have a literacy program in the women's prison that I'm starting my, I think 12th year. I think my 12th year.
I feel like every time I come into this shop and I speak to you, you are doing an additional thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
Quite possible.
Yeah. It's always like I can do one more thing, and then I try to stop doing the other thing. And they're like, you should probably keep doing it. So.
Please take time for yourself. That's to you, Adam, but also the people out there.
Yeah.
But more specifically about Indy Type Shop, you guys sell typewriters. You sell books.
Yeah.
You sell comic books.
Yeah.
You sell graphic novels.
Yeah.
You sell hot chocolate.
We sell hot. Yeah.
What else do you sell?
So our I like to hear Siren talk about this part too. So I'm gonna pass the mic and give it up a second.
Siren's the facilities manager of the Indy Type Shop.
Or something. So in this space, it's curated. Adam does a phenomenal job curating it and putting his PhD in literacy practices to the test. So all throughout the store, what we specialize in, of course, is typewriters. We do sales, service, and repair, and then we also rent it out. So if somebody's not quite sure they want to purchase a typewriter, they're always welcome to sit with us for an hour, rent out that typewriter or typewriters, and be able to play free play on them. We do secondhand and vintage books, and like you were saying, Michael, we've got our undergrounds, our pulps. We have rare signed first edition copies, including things like a Battle Creek Sanatorium letter, not just the stationery that it was on, which of course is aged and historic itself, but the letter and the contents of it tell you about patients within the facility. We have an exorcism narrative from 1928 in the rare collection. Like, it's all sorts, and we're getting ready for spooky season. So along with that, Adam has also gotten our monster collection up with the undergrounds and magazines, our vintage publications. So of course, you can always come in here and chill with us. We do have internet, but we also have our teas and our hot cocoa selection, so that way you could have a cup of something while you're coming through. And if you're not quite sure what you want to explore, we do have our first Friday open mic and a couple of other events that the store hosts back in the rare room for the event space.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Of course.
You guys are such multifaceted individuals. You like your story about, and maybe I'll ask you to share a little bit about that, but your story about how you sort of got to the point where you wanted to open a typewriter store, and then go, what else? We can't just sell typewriters. But you also like had a bunch of, you told me that your garage was your storage facility. So you had a bunch of these rare books and things already locked and loaded. And then, so this is a book and writing nerd's haven in a lot of ways. And I find that very pleasant. But beyond that, like where we're sitting right now on this tiny little stage, you use for things. What things do you use it for? What things have you used it for? Have you used it for things yet?
We have used it for a couple things. We just last weekend, for example, we started our poetry open mic series. So that's going to be every first Friday of the month at 8 p.m. We have a really awesome MC who has been spearheading that show. His name is King Richard Bowman, and I host another poetry open mic at Ujamaa currently. That's a family-friendly show. So down here at Indy Type Shop, we're doing a grown folks show. This is going to be
the adult hour.
The adult hour. It's going to be later at night on a Friday. You know, we're going to do a partnership with Parkside Public House to have some spirits available at the show. So this upcoming show, we're going to have a grown and sexy poetry slam.
Yo.
So asking people to share some erotica and some stuff that's just a little bit more adult. So we're definitely going to be having some things that are family friendly, and then some things that are, you know, just for the grown folks. So then we also hosted Genesis Literary Magazine. They were we were the first event for Festival 451. That's Ray Bradbury's festival, and once again, Siren could probably tell you better about that than me. And then we also hosted a really awesome comic book artist and special effects artist. His name is Ryan Oliver. He came and did an industry talk, and so we're going to have more industry talks with people who are in different genres and do different mediums of creative art. We're going to have those in the future as well. What are some other events that we've had, my dear?
We've it's a
Hand
smooth
off.
baz off. We've had a couple of interesting events. So not just Mirror Indy coming in and a dozen reporters on typewriters, which I don't know if you can picture that sound, but brilliant.
That's funny.
But then also we're really into organization, activism, harm reduction as well. And so we've done things like community first aid trainings or safety trainings specifically. Boys Night works with transmax groups and gatherings here in Indianapolis, and so we did a safety class where it was just learning how to distribute weight and be safe in numbers regardless of the numbers. So we took, while the front of the store has our retail, our desks, a lot of our typewriters, this backspace behind the pocket doors has a little bit of privacy, and it also has the ability for us to gather in community, talk about issues, and really kind of nail out some of the considerations that we have as we're working and living in Indianapolis together. That was really cool, and then it also leveraged some of that veteran knowledge that my buddy and I had. We were throwing each other around back here, and it was a lot of fun.
We also had a playwright do a stage reading here. We had a couple poets from Chicago come and do a book signing and do a performance. Yeah, we've done a couple other fun things.
And this is within, when did you opened in like May.
Officially,
yeah.
And you've done so much in such a short amount of time that I personally am interested to see how you grow and evolve, because every time I come in here, there's a new shelf. I walked in, you're building this shelf that I'm looking at over here. Every time I walk in, there's a new shelf. There's a new physical space change.
Sure.
And if you think of, you are always evolving the physical space, thinking about how you're always evolving this space as a community is also really interesting.
It's like we have our own little Skyrim house. It's fun.
Talking about the desire to keep going, to keep evolving, to last a long time, you actually recently said, the road is shutting down outside.
Yeah.
That was news. It was news for our neighborhood and news for us as small business owners too. And so, yeah, we learned about that. A week prior, I think.
Well, yeah, but it's now the road is supposed to be closed, but it's
But we're open.
not closed. So that was our bigger fear too, is we know the road is going to close, and the big concern is that they've not been clear in the communication. So the road was supposed to close on the 8th, and what today is the
15th.
the 14th.
14th.
So that's also, and they said it's going to be at this set amount of time, but that's already not been the time. So are
It's
they
the
gonna,
joys of
you know,
small
just
business ownership.
are they just gonna decide to close the road like the week of Halloween, for example, or closer to Christmas? So yeah. Long story short, for people who are listening to the podcast and are just like, "What are you talking about?" The city dropped off some signs on the road, letting people know that the road would be closed right in front of our shop starting last week. We got no heads up about it. Our landlord and the different shop owners here had to kind of scramble around and try to find it. We even had a news station call around, and so we were on Fox 59 News, and they, online it says they're going to be closed a month. On the phone they said it's going to just be a week. The sign says it's this date, but that hasn't happened yet. So we don't really know.
I think the biggest thing about that is just it's not about the repairs, because it's obvious that throughout Indianapolis we need repairs. So, I mean, it's not about the construction. What it is about, though, is the communication around the construction, and not just at the landlord level, but down to the small businesses. And so we spent a couple of weeks, the past couple of weeks trying to navigate that, and hopefully whenever the road construction does come through, we'll be ready to go with it.
Yeah, and for someone like me who is deeply interested in the reformation of our infrastructure, it's difficult for me, especially as not a small business owner, to picture the effects that a substantial amount of time of a road being closed, how that affects you. And for you guys have not only your own shop, but you have a small community of shops here on this block. What block are we on?
Shelby.
Shelby and just south of
Shelby and
Garfield.
Southern.
Yeah.
Just south of Garfield Park.
Yeah.
So you've got you guys, we've got Pen and Pink, the other bookstore across the street. We've got
Parkside Public House. There's Cafe Babette, the bakery. There's Serendipity Plants. There is the what is the barber called?
So we've got, that's Miss May's. Miss May's Barber Shop across the way. Garfield Park Barber Shop.
Yeah,
and
there's
then,
Ceremony Tattoo.
and then also Cafe Babette.
So when you think about this effect from a personal standpoint, not only is it affecting you personally, it's affecting your business cohort, I guess, but also your friend. These people are your friends in many ways. I've seen you interact with them, and does that affect you in some way?
Yeah, I think the combination between kind of our growth goals for the neighborhood, and then just how the city is impacting those things, is we traffic in nostalgia, right? That's like our main thing, but we are also very much believe in transformation, and we do believe we are changing the neighborhood, right? Like if our store used to be a gun store, and then it was a burner cell phone store, and then it sat vacant for a long time, and then after several years all of these vacant shops are becoming vibrant again, it does change the neighborhood, right? And the one thing that I think is positive about our circumstances, all of the shop owners here, we all live here. We all live in this neighborhood. So Siren and I live 3 blocks around the corner. The people who own Parkside live here. Laura from Pen and Pink, she lives right around the corner. So, it is a process of gentrification. It is what it is. But we feel like we have been in conversation with community members here who want those kind of things. And we also have a responsibility as shop owners to be thoughtful about the changes that we do want to make and clearly communicate those to people, right? So we also hope that there is some kind of reciprocal communication from the city, not just in terms of, construction, but another very political thing happening right now is the encampments right now that are being pushed around Pleasant Run. They're being pushed around Fountain Square. So some of the people from those encampments are being pushed down here. They're being pushed more north.
Just to pause real quick, when you say encampment, you mean unhoused encampment?
Unhoused encampments, yes,
Thank
correct.
you. Not just random camps of people.
Yeah. No, there's no raiders or anything like that. And that is, when issues in the city happen, I think that people just want to get to the end result so that we can go back to normal and that we can everybody can go back to shopping. But we think that their bookstores, for example, are meeting spaces where people can dream about change and think about things and try to fix problems. And so we think that it's important for us to be very, very clear in our communication when we are trying to put a show together or just to have events here, because we are trying to influence. There's this kind of word influencer now, but we want to influence people. We want to share our morals. We want to share our values. And we think that because we are taking ownership of the space here, that we need to be very clear and communicative about the space specifically.
Banger.
I don't know if I
Anything
have
else to
anything to add. Dr. Henze, you put the cherry on that one. I don't think I have anything to add.
I did want to say something more about collectorship. You were kind of talking about this being a collector's dream, and kind of why we got into other kinds of collecting besides just typewriters. And I love collecting. I think it's very, very important. I've been really trying to use this word stewardship more, that we are the stewards of this literature and of these items. And if we care about honoring the past, we need to kind of herald these things into the future so that other people can share them. But in my time, I was a young kid that loved video games and comic books when I was a kid, and I loved going to movies. When I was 7, 8 years old.
No more?
No, I'm 42 now. I'm just a big kid now. But the big difference between, I think, collecting when I was 8 and collecting when I'm 42 is collecting's gotten so commercial, right? You can go to a store now and buy all of your comic book stuff. You can just go to a store and buy Disney stuff and DC Marvel stuff and Pokemon and all kind of stuff like that. And Lego, there's whole stores get dedicated. And I think that there's a positive thing to that because, things that we had to search for in the underground, now you can kind of just go online, you can shop for anywhere. But at that same time, it's hard not to feel like you're just buying a bunch of logos. You're buying a bunch of merchandise instead of earnest things. So we've really turned to this old literature and old zines and fun things that are kind of punk rock and underground and these kind of gems. People ask us if we have banned books in the store, and I think we have the books that people don't even think to ban in the store. It's it's old weird sci-fi novels and detective pulps and stuff like that. But yeah, we want to bring back kind of a culture of collecting that is divorced from branding and kind of some kind of corporate influence. Hopefully there's more individuality there.
We're also really curious about the roots of where things come from. Like, we really, in being a steward, we want to really respect the context that these publications, these literary works came to us with. But then we also want to connect it to our present day and, as Adam said, bridge it towards the future too. So, will you see Disney stuff in the store? Yes. You'll see the vintage and the classic kids' picture books, and you'll see not just that, though, which is easy to get to. Pardon, easier to get to. But we also have World War II sheet music that has Donald Duck throwing a tomato at the Führer's face. And this was sheet music that was used like during movies, during World War II, as people were going to the movie theater, in order to get the information out and in order to communicate that. So we've got a copy of the sheet music, or we've got trench art from World War II from a private Yakulas. And by these little signatures in these names, we actually now, with the power of the internet, get to look at our timestamps and our postmarks, and we can see where things are from and maybe even get in touch and get more information about it. It's a really cool process. We really enjoy it.
I also want to push back on something you said, Adam. You said, you said we are gentrifying our neighborhood. I don't agree with that.
Okay.
As someone who lives here,
Interesting.
You who lives here, I don't live here. To me, the process of gentrification is pushing out those who live there. So I would argue that this is more of a revitalization, a rebirth, a move towards progress of the South Side, which is actually something else I want to talk about.
Okay.
When I first came in, you mentioned to me something around the lines of the South Side, as you see it, Garfield Park as the South Side, is sort of wronged or like othered or pushed out of the sort of mainstream view of Indianapolis. I want you to share thoughts on that.
I don't even know if they're, I don't even know if they're pushed out enough. They're just like not even thought about. Like it's, and this goes back to, kind of the frustration about the city's communication with the, with construction is our livelihoods here just an afterthought to other people, right? And what we want to do.
So one example for this, and I'm going to pass the mic back to Adam as well so he can keep answering. But we talked a little bit about the roads with Shelby Street, but this was a working class neighborhood, at least in our neck of the woods in Yearbean Creek. And so there was issues with potholes. It all started with the potholes, right?
Doesn't it always?
It always, right? But what had happened was in 1 week over the winter, Adam, myself, and our neighbor had each received at least one flat tire. And I say at least because I think you got two and our neighbor got two as well.
Yeah.
And part of it is because the potholes, but then another part is like the snowplows don't come as consistently. The working class neighborhoods have smaller roads. It's a lot harder to kind of coordinate these efforts, right? But it does start with the communication aspect. And so there's the mayor's advice line as far as potholes, you can raise complaints. That was one thing that was communicated to us afterwards, and after, I think that there were a certain number of reports that had to be raised on the same pothole. But then also scheduling and communication around those, it's been a growing process over the past 5 years or so. And we're talking neighborhood-wise, not even small business-wise. Of course, we opened back in May ourselves. So
Yeah. And we just get this feedback that not much is going on the South Side, and it's just not true. Garfield Park has one of the largest farmers markets in the state.
It is a wonderful farmers market.
It's huge, and when we come down on Saturdays, it's all buzzing down here, and people are lined up at Babette to get food. Parkside Public House is now one of the top-rated restaurants in the city. Today has been a buzz because Tube Factory had its Sunday concert, and they have it's a no really you're paying nothing market. So it's
the really free market.
The really free, the really free market.
I haven't been yet, but I want to go. I think it's fun. Yeah.
So it's, and we hear so many people about like going down to Shelby Street Tavern. That's like one of the new really cool hangouts now that they have new ownership. It's just when people are saying that there's nothing going on down here, I'm just like, you're wrong.
And even if there wasn't,
Yeah.
you should support the area so there can be.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well,
How about that?
And we're really excited with the stores that are opening up around us because we've got Parkside and Serendipity.
Mm-hmm.
We've also got stores opening on either side of us. One of which is going to be vintage decor and clothing, and then the other one is going to be oddities, curiosities, costuming, and tailoring. It's just in time for spooky season and the holidays, and so it's by having people come out and just be curious, just come and explore. It really goes to show not only was the area growing, it's continuing to grow. Like, get in while it's early. We want to build community with you and let you into our little bookstore owner shop.
Yeah. I guess coffee folks.
Coffee folks?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I am not Dr. Enzi has had to cut back on the coffee. But we've got, I was
thinking of
Helm
Helm Coffee down the street is like really
Yes.
really popular, and the guy who runs it is like really passionate about coffee, as far as I know.
And they're also part of the Indy Rainbow Chamber of Commerce. We're one of the members with them as well. And so like all up and down Shelby Street, you have different networks of overlapping stores that have kind of informed each other. So we get to work with them. We get to work down with Shelby Street Tavern. It's just like you're saying, it's a revitalization of the area that really pulls the whole street together instead of just focusing on one area.
It really ties the street together.
Really?
It really ties the street together.
Amazing. I ate at Parkside Public House for lunch.
Yeah.
Just a
Yeah.
shout
What'd you
out.
have?
Ooh, I had the burger of the month.
What is the burger of the month? I have not had it yet.
Wait, is the month is only halfway over.
Right.
Yeah.
So by the time this comes out,
They
the
had like
burger
a Cajun burger last month.
of the month for September, Parkside Public House is a chorizo burger with queso,
yeah.
like runny queso, and pickled red onions.
That's right. I think they mentioned that to me the other day, and I was scared because I had to go do things, and that seemed like a not drive around the city type of burger to have.
I brought it here, whatever
okay.
that means.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And then I had bread pudding, which
bread pudding is
I'm a
fantastic.
bread pudding. I think we have an issue. Like I should not have access to that dessert.
Theirs is really good, and not only that, like Parkside's a phenomenal place. Every time I go in, I really do try to get something different, and then I keep coming back to the same two comfort food dishes. So like the orchetti and the patty melt are my two favorite.
I did get the patty melt last time when we first met, when I was unemployed. I should not have gone there, but and it was really, really good. So,
But that is a good comfort meal for like, if you're unemployed or even if you're not, at
sometimes you
least
need a
come in here and
little.
get some good comfort.
Sometimes you need a little something to
Well,
keep you going.
And I got to give the staff a shout out too because so Michael, when we met, we had just barely gotten like all of our walls and a couple of bookshelves up. Parkside from the beginning, while we were setting up even the walls to this place, would bring food over at all hours of the night and check in with us and see if we need anything. Like that's kind of the coolness and of being in a small community collaborative space like this. So we really appreciate it.
I won't name names, but I have noticed that also up where I live, that sometimes there's some trading of goods going on. I won't name names because I don't want anyone to get in trouble, but
It's strategy.
it's going on.
It's not trouble. It's just strategy. Like
I'm just saying I don't want to name names so the employees who are doing it.
that's fair. That's fair.
Great. I have a question. This is a new running question,
Okay.
new-ish. What is a third space to you? And you can both answer. I'm sure you have different answers.
As I define third space in my dissertation, I'm trying to remember what I did Why don't you go first?
You have an
before
actual dissertation
I actually, yeah. I
on
do.
third spaces?
Yes.
We've never talked about this.
No, I know.
That's my whole shtick.
Most of the time when I mention my dissertation, people just like their eyes glaze over and they don't want to hear about it. But so my dissertation was on preserving poetry spaces.
Oh, that's right. You did mention this.
So I had to kind of define third space and get into Oldenburg and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'd like to hear your take on third space.
So, this is not my dissertation.
It will be. It's published. This is a published. This is a reviewed work. It gets reviewed by like 50 people a week or something.
Excellent. Peer review. Let's go. So for me, third spaces are places together that don't have specific requirement that meet the goals of a group, right? So I know that that's really vague.
No, that's really good.
Yeah.
Is it? Did I do okay? Yes, excellent.
Not to grade you on any scale, but
No, I
if
thought
there
we were
was a
doing
scale,
peer
you would have
reviewed.
killed
I
it.
thought we said peer reviewed. No, really, I mean, the big thing is that, like, well, I mean, for us as a third space, like, we're a bookshop, but we have meeting space in the back, and it's not specific to any groups that, like, it's really meant to be community space. It's really meant to be that hub of where people can talk and collaborate and network, but also where they can find and distribute resources between them. And so for us, that looks like harm reduction. That looks like Narcan and fentanyl strips, or it looks like trade shows where people have things that they no longer want, but might find other people who are interested in those niche topics and then be able to use that as a springboard to collaborate other events, other interactions, and really build those stronger networks. So that to me is what a third space is in my heathen non-academic.
Well,
I don't think it's an academic topic. It's just annoying that it is.
well,
Yeah.
let's make it academic by complicating this, right? Let's complicate it.
Boo.
Boo. So I do think that literacy and writing complicates the notion of a third space. And one thing that I think about is I truly believe that when Siren and I go into the women's prison and we basically get to turn a classroom into a discussion space about poetry and our dreams and, like the beautiful things in life and our struggles, like we do think that is creating a third space, right? That like maybe just for like a moment, maybe just for the breadth of the conversation.
I intentionally, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
The reason my podcast is named Third Space Indy instead of Third Place Indy is because to me a place is singular in location versus a space which is amorphous, similar to the women's prison that you're describing.
And some people might argue is like, well, you're doing something educational. That might be a second space, but like, well, we're not. There's something that is like self-motivated about like going to a bookstore or becoming a collector, right? It's not you're doing it for a degree. It's not that you are trying to like reach a certain status or it is much more self-motivated. And that is what I think kind of upholds the third space part of it. And people come in this space because they want to learn more. People come here because they want to just like find community. And some people come just visit Siren and just like ask how they're doing, right? Like some people come because they have a run of this comic book that they want to finish and they want to hear the rest of the story. Some people come because they are really into typewriter collecting and they don't have anybody else to talk to about it. There's so many needs that that I don't even think people realize that they can have until they let like literature and literacy kind of unlock those things for them.
Or you could say that about anything, not just literacy, like have a third space that unlocks them for them.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
It's about that access, right? Third spaces really need to be strategic in how they reach out and how they invite people in. because it's not a transactional relationship. It really is a how can we support each other in ways to build this towards the future. But finding those places and consistent can be a really difficult task. So we're just happy to be one of those spaces that people can come to. Or even if we're not in the shop, they can come out and see us at a pop-up at the Rare Book Fest or 4th Street or Grand Flume down in Bloomington.
Yeah.
We even did Irvington Halloween one year. That was pretty fun.
That was fun.
Amazing. You don't need to hand it to Adam every time.
I get worried it's going to pop away. It's a bunny tail.
It does look like a... Did you ever have one of those old rabbit's foots on a keychain?
Yes.
Why do people do that? That was so weird. As an extension of that question, this is another running question. Shout out to, oh no, what is his name? Oh, Ed Fujawa. He asked this question on the podcast, and I just have sort of absorbed it, which is, what is a third space that no longer exists that you miss for yourself?
You have hold on, you've been in Indianapolis far longer than I have.
It doesn't have to be in Indiana.
Sure.
I am going to say I had to explain to some of my students the other day how what drugstores are, and they're like, yeah, like a CVS, and I was like, no, it's like a drugstore, like a lady owned it. Some family owned, like a guy with an apron owned it or something, and there were like comic books there that'd be like comic books, and I'd be like, yeah, and like crossword puzzles, and you go and get birthday greeting cards and the drugstore, and they're like, what are you talking about? I think that kind of notion of
What age are these students?
they're teenagers, they're 16,
Yeah.
17, but we don't have the newsstand kind of store. I mean, we would call it a drugstore, but where you go to the newsstand, where you go get your Reader's Digest. Ours was connected to an arcade, and arcades don't really exist anymore either. But yeah, just kind of places where you could kind of just there's so much kind of going back to branding. You used to be able to read the world easier without it being corporate sponsored, right? You would have newspapers that you'd have to look at, and there'd be magazines on the wall, and now everything is in this digital sphere, and you get notifications interrupting your time to try to take you into that sphere. But there used to be spaces we would have to go to that just had stuff to read all over the wall, and I missed that a lot.
So Adam I was going to go off and just be cool and be like, oh, but arcades, and Adam already took that one.
You
from
can
me.
talk about it.
I mentioned arcades for a second. You
Well,
can totally take arcades.
But actually, I mean, the thing is, arcades were a designated space for youth culture to meet up, right? And a couple of different cultures too, not just youth culture. But for me, I mean, that to me calls back the nostalgia, the 80s, the 90s, maybe even the early 2000s. But if we want to talk more current third spaces, what is exciting to me is that third spaces, when they become established, often are a lot more, you talked about it being more fluid and not attached to a specific geography. And during the pandemic, one of the ways that I built community was with one of my buddies, Reverend Patrick Burke. We did Hallowed Ground. And so what it was an interfaith discussion group. We met at Holiday Park. It was a group of sometimes only a couple of people, but then ranging upwards to a dozen and then some. And on those Sundays in this interfaith place, because he's Episcopal, but I'm pagan, and then we had Buddhist and Norse friends and all around. But we understood that there was a joint need for just spiritual thought, not a particular religion or a particular spirituality, but it was so important to be able to access the resources through language. So we meet up, and there's a stone circle in the middle of the clearing right next to the ruins, and we got to open up with a discussion and a check-in, and then it was just magic to be in that space with community, and then to know that every Sunday we had it or could move it wherever we needed to. And so that's a space that I miss. Since then, the members have all kind of gone off into our different geographies, but still check in every once in a while.
The pandemic ethereal space.
Pandemic
liminal
ethereal
space.
space.
I want the record to be shown that I tried to give Siren the mic several times. It sounds like I don't want to.
I'm not. Don't worry about it.
I take only that, which is.
I think we're sharing space well. Thank you for sharing. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
Is there anything else you guys? Oh my gosh! It just hit me again. I should have written this in the notes. When I first walked in, Adam, you shared this idea with me. You said in this store we are selling NFTs. I said, "What have I walked into?"
That's sort of what I said. I said that we are taking something back that's been taken away from us, and this is my manifesto. Is
That's a charged word.
Yeah,
Right
I
now.
mean,
Also, we are a lit space for rad people. We are a lit space for rad people.
So much of the conversation about collecting comes back to what we value, right? And I think that so this is going to take me a second to get there, but hopefully you'll follow
This is
me.
not. I just want to. Before we get there,
We're not selling NFTs.
not the
We're selling
NFTs
something
you're
better,
thinking of.
and you'll kind of get what I was going with. I mean, we basically know where every single copy of Superman #1 is on the planet. Have you ever thought about that? There's thousands of copies. We pretty much know where every single one is because it's been cataloged. It has been assigned a number if it's been graded, all these kind of things, and we're able to track it because other people have decided that that is a valuable thing worth preserving, and we're going to put our money into it, right? But do we know how many copies of Gwendolyn Brooks' first book is out there? Do we know how many copies of Audre Lorde's first chapbook is out there? No, because we have not decided that we're going to put our effort and our stewardship into the value of these books and of these things. And we now have a society that wants you to spend money on frivolous things that don't actually have any value, like NFTs, like cryptocurrency. These are all things that, and all value is abstract, of course, but these are things that are literally worthless. They literally have no worth. At least with a book, you can be like, I learned something. I learned how to say some words, or I learned some quotations or something like that. But we have so many things, and even things that are worth money, like I would say that video games are worth money. Now we're buying the licenses to play the video game and not even the physical copy of the video game.
a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, and so this notion of ownership is becoming more and more and more abstract. We are basically paying for the time to play something, to just play. Someone else has that ownership of us. So the flip side is this in our store is what I call our Scriptocurrency.
That's right. I forgot
It's
where
our
this went.
Scriptocurrency, right? That the value of the dollar, at least in the United States in 2025, is very, very volatile. It does not buy you as much as we all agree that it should. So we are basically spending our money on things that we think, we have this idea of end-shitification. Do you know what this is? So end-shitification is this idea that we're buying more inferior products, and that the organizations that create them are purposely making them inferior, so they're going to break. So why don't we put our money into these old things? Why don't we, if we are looking for a better, more consistent barter system, and if we have a society that is trying to take away literature, that is trying to take away access to it, then why don't we basically decide that this is something that is worth, preserving, holding on to, and using as an alternative to physical currency, because the dollar ain't all that. That's the start of my manifesto, but I'm giving you a pause. This is the first manifesto that's got a pause in it.
I'm so glad that we could put this in concrete for you. I just remember thinking it was both hilarious. I mean, I personally agree, like about on many things in there. I think that's a cook. You're over your cooking.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. Do you have anything to add to my manifesto, my dear?
No.
You rolled your eyes when I brought it up. That's the funny thing. Yeah.
I didn't roll the eyes. What it was I'm excited about how, because I've heard this tailored just a little bit each time, and sorry.
Just to make sure.
I've heard this tailored just a little bit each time, but each time it comes out tailored just that much more fittingly. Really, the nostalgia is a cool part of being here at Indy Type Shop, but it really is about the quality and keeping that alive, right? The quality, yes, we've got mass pulp fictions and those sorts, but the quality of story for that point in time was just a lot of fun. And we really encourage that quality, not just with the books and the stories, but also with typewriters when we do our repairs. We want to make sure that it's used and used well.
Well, I'll even make fun of myself as a consumer. I just purchased Metal Gear Solid 3 for the 5th time.
I was gonna ask, have you played Silk Song?
Yeah. But the gamers listening though, that brings it back to it changes this concept of value, right? Silk Song is made by a handful of.
It's made by 3 people with a bunch of subcontractors.
Yeah. So that's it. Main studio is 3 people. They didn't give out any advanced copies. It's a $20 game, and you can there's no doubt that that game is worth $20. Everyone who plays that game.
Oh, we're talking that the game is probably worth $200.
I know. Yeah, and then at the same time you have another. EA is asking $80 for its 80th iteration of NCAA whatever,
football or
the
whatever, new
whatever,
Call of Duty and all of that.
Yeah. So it's just going back to I just bought Metal Gear Solid 3 for the 5th time because I bought it on PlayStation 2. I bought the special edition on PlayStation 2. Then I had to go back and buy a PlayStation 4.
You're a victim of your own ideology. That's
yeah, but I mean, but the way the world is right now, there's not a lot of new IP coming out, right? We're kind of in this cultural cycle of, I don't know if it's cultural atrophy, but we're getting new Superman movies. It's fine. It's a good movie, but it's just we're just doing this again and again. We're gonna do more Batman again. More
we
Pokemon
recently
again.
had Freakier Friday.
Yes.
And we're having Devil Wears Prada 2.
Yes.
And now, are those inherently bad?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think so.
So I don't think that they're bad.
Yeah.
Because they're all different creative expressions, right? And the thing is that I know plenty of our community members come on in and they just want to settle deeper into a story that they're already familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
That familiarity is part of the reason that you want to look at the old books and you want to see what the publications are that are out there. Having spin-offs and reiterations or redos isn't a bad thing itself. The question is, where is your effort with it?
Mm-hmm. And what's the purpose?
What's the purpose of it? Freaky Friday was hilarious and fun. First time went through, got updated for that generation, right? Now updated again for a further generation. It is a way to express this story and to make it continue its timeliness, right? But on the other hand, what are we missing by not trying to generate an entirely new storyline? That's kind of where my question is with it.
Yeah. And kind of bringing it back to what people find in the store is a lot of young people don't realize, in the back of these old magazines, that, there would be, these, classified ads that, you're trying to... Hey, you're that pretty lady I saw. Can you call me, please? Or hey, I'm creating my own detective agency book club. Could you hit me up? And it's just young people, when they see these like old ads, they're like, why did you do that? Because, well, we didn't have telephone, we didn't have internet, like these are like different types of processes that people would take when they didn't have third spaces. One thing we like to talk about is when we look at like old advertisements, like from 100 years ago, some of the most beautiful advertisements, some of the most beautiful art is on like seed packets and like farm equipment and like old kind of stuff, because flour sacks. Because if you lived in Attica, Indiana 100 years ago, you didn't have a museum to go to, or a library or a bookstore to like, or a museum to see art. But you got the newspaper and you got this advertisement for flour, so there used to be a lot more thoughtfulness and communication in some of our mundane types of advertising and those kind of things. And I think that we can elevate those things again, not to get very corporate with it. We can even bring in like the kind of like Cracker Barrel logo scandal.
We're not bringing in.
I'm doing it. I'm doing my deep take on it.
The logo is fresh. We're not doing that.
But I think that there is this kind of like, and I'm not aligning myself with the Cracker Barrel pitchfork and people, but I think there's been kind of a deliterization of our behavior as consumers, and I think that, I'm not going to advocate for capitalism or this or that, but I think that we can kind of bring back this like thoughtfulness to the way that we shop and the way that we talk with people and the way that we trade things. And obviously, like, we like typewriters, they're fun, we like reading, it's fun, but that's kind of on the underground what we really want to do with our store. We want people to be able to trade ideas and trade comic books.
Banger. Round it out. Nothing else? All right. No, I just want to say,
that's a clincher.
Buy Hollow Knight Silksong. That game rocks.
I have nothing to do with it, but
really hard.
And I want you to know, I beat the Morwing yesterday, and I cheered. Have you gotten to the Morwing yet?
I have beaten the game. I have not beaten the game, quote unquote.
Gotcha.
So
do you remember the Morwing?
Yes, I know the Morwing. It's like a big bat thing.
Yeah.
Throws blades at you.
I've heard he's like harder guy, but I'm sure there's like much harder to come.
There's a lot harder to come. Yeah, there's acts in the game, like in a story. So the boss that ends the first.
I'm in Act 1.
You probably are.
I'm like 12 or 14 hours in too.
The Act 1 ending boss. Not only is the boss hard, but to get to the boss after you die over and over again is also hard. So you will be playing this game.
Hollow Knight, though.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think people.
I'm happy to have the ability to just talk about video games with somebody on this podcast for once.
Yeah,
it's always
I think people just played
passion.
Hollow Knight for like 500 hours and forgot that was a really hard game to them at one time.
I think so. Yeah. Anyways, let's round it out.
Boom.
Sorry, there's a question from the previous guest.
You're getting first answers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Question from the previous guest.
Rabbit. Okay.
There's always a question from the previous guest. That's a hint. What is your favorite green space?
So there are a couple that I like to go to. My favorite green space is here locally. We've got the Garfield Park Conservatory. They've even got a bonsai show that's supposed to be going on today, I think.
Bonsai, they replaced the cacti?
Mm-hmm.
They were moved out the cacti, and now they're on the bonsai?
Yeah, I think that but they do it like, they did a orchid festival. It's like a festival that they kind of like move in and out, but it's a wonderful space. I love greenhouses. So like the Garfield Park Conservatory down in Bloomington, they have a conservatory that's brilliant.
In the green, in what used to be Jordan Hole? Yeah, I used to go in there regularly.
Gorgeous. And as a writer, those are spaces that I'm called to just relax and chill. But if we're talking about out in nature, the two spaces I like the Virginia Fairbanks art right outside of Newfields. That's always an amazing place to walk and to go bird watch and see natural flora, fauna. And then, just because I'm a sucker for Bricks, Bricks has their spot right along the Monon.
Like Broad Ripple Ice Cream Company? Okay.
Broad Ripple
I'm a
Ice Cream
frequenter of Bricks.
They're so good.
It's 10 feet from my house. Almost, not literally, but, effectively enough.
And that area along the Monon, actually, like, there are bike path trails that kind of pull off into the woods. Like, you'll go down and it's off course and everything. But I love going into there and just sitting by the White River. So that's super cool. If you're not down for the river, but you want kind of that background noise, Idle Park up in Fountain Square.
IDLE? Idle? Oh.
IDLE.
I've not been there, I don't think.
So, Siren accused me several times of taking their answer during this podcast, and then going to say the Monon, even though
The whole Monon.
the whole Monon,
All of it.
even though the Monon used to be in my backyard, I used to walk my dog on the Monon, and you know that story.
Let me answer first.
Well, that's true. So, is
The next Third Space Indie guest.
ooh.
I answered first last time.
So I would say, what is your favorite? Well, I would ask, what is an Indiana story that you like telling people that not a lot of people know? What is an Indiana story?
Like Indiana story or a personal story? Do you care? Okay.
I don't care.
Okay, right on. Yeah.
Yep. That's mine. You want to do one too, or is that it?
Yes. So
Double feature.
I am excited to find out what resources people use to help establish Third Space. I don't know if there's like a best practices book that more people use than not, or things like that, but that's really what I'm curious is, what are the foundational resources?
It's what, wine and cheese?
Possibly wine and cheese. That's a resource, both of them.
I need to buy it, but the original book, The Great Good Place by Ray Oldenburg. When I have had it from the library for like months. I haven't read it, but I've read like the intro, and when I was reading the intro, because I keep bouncing between, but I'm a freak. I can't settle. I just need to read
I have my 6 running.
Or
Yeah.
you're reading 50 books at the same time.
over the course of like 10 years.
Yeah, that's fine.
Still counts.
But anyways, I was so impressed, speaking of like resources for building third spaces. I have this very deep framework, because this is all I think about all the time, about what it is, what a third space is, what it takes to build third spaces, that type of stuff. And I'm sitting here reading the introduction to this book. That's pretty much all I've read so far. And I said, this guy gets it. Just the introduction, I was like, I can't wait to read the rest of it.
At least framing it.
Yeah.
So clearly, Ray Oldenburg, who coined the term third place, knows what's up. That's what I think.
There's a lot of, if you remind me, there's been a lot of good writing about it in literacy education, just kind of conceptualizing, like, because, you know, the workplace and the school is kind of the second place and the home is the first place. But literacy, we know, takes place somewhere in between that second and first place. So a lot of people, researchers write about the third space. So if you remind me, I'll send you things.
Please.
Some good theory.
Anyways, let's wrap up. Siren, Adam,
Thank you.
where can we find you? Tell me about.
If not at Indy Type Shop. No, the best way to find us, Indy Type Shop, we are on social media. So we have a TikTok, a Facebook, I mean, kind of the meta
Yeah,
platforms.
it's
itself.
indie.type.shop.
Indie.type.shop, yes. And you can also get more information, get in touch with us, info@indytypeshop.com. No dots for that one.
Got it.
And we have all of our stuff is listed on Google. So please look us up, stop on by, and then we're excited to see you at our upcoming events as well. Adam?
So I don't know when this will be aired, but we also have some. Oh, nice. We also have some events that we are going to be at outside of the shop that we want to invite people to. So on the 27th, we are going to be at a read-in at Black Circle Brewery. Have you been at Black Circle?
Is that the metalhead place?
Yeah,
I need to go
you
there.
strike me as a metalhead. Do you like the heavy metal?
I want to be a metalhead. It
Yeah.
just does not. The metal that I like. Do you know Ailstorm?
We do know
Like
Ailstorm.
pirate metal. That
Yeah.
hits for me. And I also like those like.
Yeah.
I like those like strong riffs and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't like when they get into the screamo stuff, but I like strong.
They have all kinds
guitar
of all
work.
kinds of stuff. I mean, we went to see Castle Rat. It's a a doom metal band, and she performs in a chainmail bikini. So like
That's sick.
They've got things
With,
there
like,
that
a
you'd like. Yeah.
giant rat mask.
I have fr-
on,
I have
and,
friends-
It's just awesome.
We're getting off topic, but that's okay. I have friends who are really into metal, and there's one called Gorm.
Gorm?
Is that the? Do you know what I'm
Sure.
talking about?
Yeah. I don't know.
And they like all perform in like these pig demon costumes, and they like
Is it, or you mean Guar?
Guar, and they like
Guar.
spray blood everywhere.
Yes.
And I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
But I'm not into that, but like I respect it. It's awesome.
Good camp. So we will be at the Read-In at Black Circle on September 27th. That is from noon to 6. We will also be vending at QWERTY Fest. If there's any listeners out there in Milwaukee, that's going to be at the beginning of October. We'll also be at Proof, the Midwest Literary Arts Festival. You should check that out if you've not been to Proof before. It's going to be its second year. It is at the Harrison Center in partnership with Indiana Humanities. And then we will be at the Bloomington Book Festival the following week after that. I'm already losing touch of what date that is, but look up the Bloomington
Time
Book
is an
Festival.
enigma.
Yeah, we're going to be out there basically.
There's a calendar somewhere. You guys post.
Yeah.
You're posters.
Just go to our social media.
You
We'll-
love posting
we'll
a
tell you where to
little
go.
selfie video too all the time.
Yeah, that's right too.
You said, "Hey, I got surgery on my ear today."
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you so much for listening, watching, riding along with Third Space Indie. You can find me at Third Space Indie on Instagram or at thirdspaceindy.com, where I write a weekly blog with every episode. Please give me your email. I'll send it to you every Monday with the release of the episode. The Third Space Indie intro music is done by the local artist Jennison. Thank you, Jennison, for sharing your music with me and everybody else.
Thanks, Jennison.
Shout out to Jennison. She'll be on eventually. Anyways, thank you, Adam and Siren, for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hope to share the next episode of Third Space Indie with you. Goodbye.